Hello, friends, family, fellow caregivers, and all of my followers. Greetings from your girl, caregiver extraordinaire. My name is V. Marie, and I've been taking care of family members since 2014. I wanted to share some of my journey with you guys, so I think it would be beneficial on some things. A lot of people are taking care of family, distant family members, and a lot of people are looking for um, other perspectives and just guidance on the journey. So I wanted to come and be of as much of a help as possible to kind of give you a glimpse into my journey, which started in 2014 with my mom. Took care of her for 7 years, and she passed away in 2021, and I started taking care of my daughter in 2023. So, I got some years in the field, and I'm not a medical expert or anything like that, but I have common sense, and I know what is the right thing to do for my family, and I know what I would want someone to do for me. You know, do the right thing, speak up for me when I can't speak up for myself. So that's pretty much been my journey so far, just pretty much being an advocate for my family and making sure they get the care that they need along their health journey. And it's been a ride. It's been interesting. It's been very eye opening. It's been lots of moments of just learning how to put a professional in perspective as far as what they know, what they think they know, how you feel about what they know, how it impacts your family member who is, they're giving you information about. So, everybody's different and everybody don't, you know, are not treated in the same way or shouldn't be treated in the same way as far as health outcomes and protocols on, what's the best medicine for them, whether they're allergic to something, whether they, would do better by something else instead of what the medical professionals suggest. So it's been, give and take, trial and error, but pretty much just trying to make sure, we do no harm in the process of getting the care. And it's been working out pretty good. And my last video, I was talking about the start of my journey with Carmen, which started in 2023. Um, and we ended up with her uh, being in Tripler Military Hospital in Honolulu, where we lived, and ended up going from there to San Diego. Uh, Pretty much, there was no cure for her there because she had an anoxic brain injury, and nowhere on the West Coast is there care for an unconscious neuro patient. There is, you know, for conscious patients that can participate in their care. There are facilities on the West Coast. And so I spent like 3 months trying to look for facilities that could help us and found nothing. And ended up talking to a for profit agency that basically told me, I'm just spinning my wheels looking for something on the West Coast because there's nothing. And they basically said that the closest you're going to come to anything remotely, in the area is in Denver, outside of Denver, Colorado, and that was Craig Hospital. And my initial response to that was like, no, we're not going anywhere cold. We just came from Hawaii. So it was comical. It wasn't comical then, but it's like, I don't want to see any snow. I don't want to feel any cold. But anyway, you had sometimes you have to eat your words, which we did. So, which I did. But anyway, so we ended up having the hospital I wanted her to go to in Houston come to San Diego to vet us for, you know, a space at Tier Memorial Hermann Hospital, which they cater to unconscious neuro patients. They have what they call a disorder of consciousness center that pretty much, they use research and other things to be able to tap in and see whether a person is actually conscious or semi-conscious or, or not. And we got the chance to go there because they approved us for the program. So she flew out in a medevac plane to Houston from San Diego, and I drove uh, my car. And, we started that journey, and it was very successful until we came upon an issue with a, 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 a wound. She had developed a wound on her coccyx bone, and it pretty much derailed all of the things we were trying to get done. She was in the gym doing PTOT and just making great strides and, getting a lot of movement going in her limbs and everything. And it was kind of derailed after she got the wound because it progressed to a stage 4 and it seemed like no time. So we ended up discharging from the hospital and started rehabbing in the community, which was slow because of the wound. She had to have a lot of I had to turn her a couple of times a day and make sure the wound was pretty much, taken care of by a nurse. A nurse would come in and I would do my due diligence, when the nurse wasn't there or whatever. So, but yeah, it was a little tough. And not only that, we were new to Houston, so getting used to the weather, which made a big impact on us. We initially thought about Texas and like, I know that I had relatives in Texas. And I thought, well, yeah, this is going to be great because, if I need a hand or whatever, there's a lot of people there that, we are related to. So it's not a problem. But lo and behold, when we got there and I started looking to see where everyone was, and Texas is so darn big. I mean, it really need to be sliced up in at least 5 parts because there's no way you can get through Texas in a day. You'd have to be speeding through the whole state probably to get through it. But anyway, I um I decided, it just looks like everybody was at least 3 hours away from us, in either direction. So it wasn't really beneficial to say that, yeah, we got relatives in Texas because it wasn't relevant at all. But anyway, so once we got into the community, another big factor made an impact on us, and that was intermittent storms that dropped into Texas almost unannounced. I remember watching the evening news, and because I'm a news junkie, it is what it is. But I was glad I was watching this day because the weather report said that, okay, there is something called a derecho. Never heard that term before, but they said it was a derecho that was dropping down into Texas and looked like it was headed toward Grand Parkway, which is where we lived. It's like Grand Parkway, no. So in seconds, the TV went off, the lights went off. Her bed, which is a wound mattress, she has a wound mattress on her bed, it started losing air because it's, governed by a pump. And so it deflated. I ran to the back of the house to get her Hoyer lift so that I could get her off the metal to metal that was pretty much playing out as quickly as I could run to go get the Hoyer to get her up out the bed, so she wouldn't be laying on metal. So got her out the bed, put her into a recliner, and called 911 immediately to come and rescue us because we had no lights. That means we had no wound pump. We had no suctioning pump, which I used often on her because of her secretions. And so they came almost immediately because they were right up the street, and we had become, fast friends because we needed them often enough. But so yeah, they got us and took us to the hospital, which is 6 miles away, Memorial Herman and the Woodlands. So we're in Spring, and the Woodlands is like 6 miles away. So anyway, they got us there, and we pretty much stayed there until the storm was over and our lights was back on. And I learned that that's what most people do if you're disabled, or need you have all this equipment and stuff. You need to make sure it stays powered up, and you don't have a backup generator or anything, which we didn't have in our apartment. So I said, okay, well, we'll be prepared for the next one. So we stayed in there and got, you know, everything we needed to get done, and then got back in the community, and, carried through with, our regular routine, and until the next named storm came. And I was ready for that one because I think I don't know if it was the first hurricane, but it was a hurricane that came right up the coast, right, right smack dab into Houston. And so on a Sunday, I decided, okay, we're going to go to the hospital on Sunday because the storm was projected to come in on Monday. So lo and behold, we went in on Sunday. Come Monday, the storm came through, knocked out all the power to millions of people's, you know, houses, impacted, the area pretty bad. And, it was good to be there in the hospital with her and not have to scramble to, have to run from the storm. But so we were there a couple of days until our lights came back on, and then we went back in the community. But my thoughts for Texas was like, I don't know how long this wound is going to take to finish healing up. Many people, you can get talk to people that have dealt with wounds or whatever, and they'll say, well, I had a relative that never recovered from the wound. It stayed there always. It's like, well, I'm not, you can take information with a grain of salt. You buy into it or you don't. And I know that, this wound is not going to defeat me. I'm going to do all I can to make sure that, her dressing's changed, and, she's we're getting everything we need to get done to heal it, because it's on a crucial area of our body that, we need to get back to getting some mobility done, you know, and so that she can see her children and all that good stuff. So we decided to leave Texas. Not we, I did. Okay. Carmen, she kind of was happy, I think, because we communicated with blinks, one blink for yes and two blinks for no. So I clearly got the message from her that, yeah, let's get the heck up out of Texas. So we prepared for that, and headed to Syracuse where her kids live. And they were very happy to see her once we got there. And so I figured we'd hunker down in Syracuse and make the most of it. We got there in July of 2024, and we start, getting doctors together, lined up, and everything like that, and you know, making things happen. Yeah, we had a couple of times where we went to the hospital, of course, and she had a lot of UTIs and things like that popping up, and because of her catheter, it it's one of those things that is temperamental and cause those things. So, you know, we got back acclimated to Syracuse. She was born and raised in Syracuse, so it was like coming back to the beginning, So once we got settled in, got her doctors and everything situated, we were waiting for housing in Syracuse as well, and we kept waiting and waiting and waiting. We were housed in a studio apartment, and we were on several lists, many lists, and there was a housing crunch going on in Syracuse, and it just wasn't looking good for us to find suitable housing because she needed housing that was ADA compliant, that had the handrails and you were able to get in and out with no stairs and things like that. So it was first floor housing was just not even something that you could easily find or be able to afford if you did find something that would work. Carmen had no income, still does not have any income, so it's just a matter of utilizing my Social Security and the benevolence of all of my entourage, army of supporters, and people who have been with us throughout my journey, and even before then, church family and extended family, and people from my childhood, and everybody that I can solicit to come aboard. But it's been one of those things that you know you learn a lot about people and their willingness to do whatever they can to help you, and that is something that is so good to see, because we live in a world that people can turn on you at the drop of a dime just for anything. But when you have God on your side, and you're trusting that every day He's gonna supply the need, like His Word says, and He has been doing that, and we just keep trusting in Him, and we know that this journey is not in vain. We all have to go through something in life, and there's always gonna be a time when you may have to you know, reflect on a moment of, why am I going through this? It is what it is, but, if you're trusting in God, He will make sure that you are going to get through it. And, you'll have a testimony at the end to pretty much reflect on how you came through it, so that others will be encouraged to, be able to say, well, if they did it, I can do it too. And because God is no respecter of persons, what He do for me, He'll do for someone else. And that the main thing is that you know don't speak death and destruction, or don't speak negativity on your situation. I remember when we were in Honolulu at Tripler Military Hospital, they used the term vegetable, and that the word just, it was cringeworthy to me. It's like, well, I'm not sure where you're using that term at. My daughter's not a vegetable. She is very coherent. She's very cognizant of what's going on. And we're not going to ever use that term. I actually told the neurology team because they wanted to meet with us to have the talk. And it's like, well, we're never going to have that talk because I know what talk you're talking about. We're never going to have it because we're not giving up on her. We're not pulling the plug or doing any of that stuff. We're going to see her through this journey because she is the type of person that will give you the shirt off her back. She loved people with a passion that's really bigger than life. So she would never give up on anyone. And I'm not going to give up on her. It's just pretty elementary. And, I got that across to them. So we never had a meeting. There was no meeting to be had. We'll meet to talk about how can we get to Memorial Herman. That's the meeting. That's the only meeting we want to have. So we didn't initially get to Memorial Herman. We went through San Diego first because we had TRICARE West, and they wouldn't let us go to Houston because it was considered a TRICARE East until we found out how they actually navigate that once we were in San Diego. So, but you never know how a journey is going to have twists and turns or whatever, but hanging in there and making sure you know, take care of your loved ones and make sure that they're good. Make sure that you're getting the best doctors, best hospitals you can for their care. And don't take no for an answer. I mean, if you know your loved one, you know that they're fighting tooth and nail to say that I'm here. I may not be able to speak to you, but I'm here. I want to be here. I want to be here for my children, my future grandchildren, whatever. Yeah, don't let people count you out. Don't count your loved ones out. They deserve to be here, and they deserve the best care they can possibly get. So I'm going to conclude this video. There will be a part 3 too, I guess. But just to say, be encouraged about caregiving. It can be a thankless job, but it's one that your family needs you. Your best friends or whoever you can carve out time to help, even if it's just dropping off a get well card or some flowers or any kind of way you can show love or that you are concerned, you care, you're praying for them, you're wishing them well. It goes a long way because just do unto others as you want them to do unto you, and that's the theme that I want to end this video with. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for your support and your kindness. Thank you for following our journey. We'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.